Hello, Facebook. It's Friday. You know what that means. It's happy hour here. It's your pal McGee. And with me, as always, somewhere is Beth Simmons. I can't see you.
get my video.
Well, where'd you go? There, I had you for a second.
For some reason, my video doesn't want to start. I don't know if you hear me, but it's like the computer's like, you didn't dress up for me today, and I'm not going to put you on. I'm sorry.
You know, I'm still getting the hang of this whole Zoom operation. And I think part of what I did was it said, I think I clicked the button that said hide non-video participants so that I could have the backup computer going.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. We actually have a very special guest that we're going to bring in right now. Hang on.
Oh, I'm so excited.
There we go.
Connecting audio. Okay, so I'm so glad he joined us. Okay, so I don't know if anyone remembers, but Cody Lee used to work here in Tucson for KFMA, and we brought her into the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
How you doing, Cody? It's nice to meet you. I'm Mike McGee.
Nice to meet you too, Mike.
And you are the Dino today, just to let you know, because Dino's on vacation. He's in Las Vegas watching Garth Brooks this weekend.
Oh, cheater.
Oh, so what do you think about that? That's pretty exciting, huh?
Yeah, that's awesome. But I mean, I've wanted to see Garth Brooks since I was probably like 2. So it's one of those things, but I've never had the extra cash to spend on Garth Brooks tickets. So
yeah. Well, actually, you did work for a country station for a while. You guys didn't have any extra tickets at one point?
No, because they always gave them all to the listeners. They never gave them to us.
Ain't that about a bitch? They do that all the time.
Right. So I remember one time it was a George Strait concert, and instead of letting us like actually go to the concert, we had to go in promo. And then we said hi to George Strait, and they're like, okay, have a good day.
Wow.
Right. I was like, you can't even watch the show. And they're like, no, it's a packed house. Have a good day.
Yeah. Wow. Oh man. Well, I've been to concerts where it's been like that too. I'm not going to say which one, but I remember a few promotions, people looking at the, I'm not going to say which venue either, but they couldn't get in. So they were watching from the outside at the gate and then looking at the singer. And I kind of felt bad. Like, that's not cool. You got to let everyone in that's working for your show, you know?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
If you've got enough space for me to take up when I have to do something for work, the least that you can do is just let me stand in that same spot or somewhat over to the side to watch the show. You know,
right? Like I don't need a chair. Just let me be there.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Like I can say that the only concert that I got for free was Black Label. And that was last minute day of the show. And they managed to, apparently they didn't give them away or whatever the case may be. And so Dino and I got them and, had our first mandate. But, it's just kind of ridiculous. If you're going to have people there for promotions, there's no reason why they can't stand off stage or, put them in a spot where they're going to be out of the way. That's just ridiculous. That's just treating your employees poorly.
It is.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's bad business.
I will say, okay, so my favorite concert venue by far, and I used to, when I started in radio, I worked in promotions in San Francisco. It would be the Fillmore in San Francisco because I was a starving student setting up these promotions. And every time I'd go to the Fillmore, they'd have a table full of apples. And in the front, it says, take an apple, leave an apple. And I would grab an apple from their table. I'm like, yes, I would be fed for the night. And so I love that venue. I don't think they do that now, but that was pretty cool that they would give out free apples.
It's the small victories for the free meals. That's the best part.
So Cody, this is the first time you're joining us. We do happy hour here. And so we talk about all of the music news stories from the week that really struck out at us and, got us excited for the weekend. So are you in for it? You ready to talk some music news today?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's more just stuff that we find hysterical and happens to be somewhat related to rock and roll. And then we just sit there and make fun of it. And basically, it's just chaos. So don't expect too much professionalism out of this whole thing, because it's a monkey flinging shit show.
Well, most radio is. So my expectations are about below the bar, I think.
It's the best radio is usually the one that is just a monkey flinging shit show.
Absolutely.
That is very true.
Well, we can jump right in, because this one is kind of if I can get everything to load. Oh, and by the way, just prepare for at least one technical difficulty at some point or another. But here we go. Let's jump right in. Apparently, Mr. Bruce Springsteen's offspring is going to compete at the Olympics this year in the equestrian event.
That is so exciting.
So apparently, Bruce's daughter, Jessica, who is 29 years old, is going to be competing over in Tokyo in August in the and I'm guessing it's the equestrian, since she's wearing a damn helmet.
Yep.
But yes, there it is. The United States Equestrian Foundation or Federation.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, it is not open to the general public because of COVID, but I am curious to know if Bruce is going to make it out somehow. He'll probably be on the outside of the venue looking through the gate too, like we would back in the day, what?
If I was him, I would just laminate my own badge and be official horse groomer, just so that he can be in there.
Exactly, right?
Be like, I'm part of the crew. It's fine.
Me personally, if I was Bruce Springsteen, I'd be sitting there watching it on my 85-inch television in my pajamas, comfortable, sipping iced tea, whatever the case may be, keeping it simple.
Is it the pajamas though, or is it the monogrammed robe?
Either or. I mean, if I had a monogram robe, I would never wear anything else but the monogram robe, and that might go over like a fart in church with my kids or any company that comes over. But
so that's besides the point. They don't like it, they can leave.
I think it's very classy, the monogram robe. I mean, you'd be like Hugh Hefner, right?
Yes.
Well, see, I'm more curious as to whether or not what's his wife's name? Patty? Isn't that her name? The redhead?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm more wondering how she feels about sending her offspring to another country in the middle of a still, lingering global pandemic. That's got to be tough. Like mine went to New York for a week, and I'm like this, so I'm like, I couldn't imagine being in her shoes.
I'm sure they're fine. They know their daughter's taking the proper precautions. They're probably okay. And she's probably on her personal jet. So they don't worry because she's the only person in the plane.
I'm willing to bet that if you're going to be part of an Olympic team, you've got to suffer with the rest of the team. You don't just get to fly your own plane because Bruce Springsteen's your dad.
I would put money on it that she gets special privileges. Come on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm pretty sure she's like, nope, I'm good. I have my own monogrammed seat. Thanks.
I'll see you out there. We'll be a team out there.
Yes.
But no, that's exciting though. And I am a little disappointed that the Tokyo Olympics are not open to the public, mainly because I wanted to go see the Olympics with the money I can't afford to spend on a ticket.
I was waiting for that shoe to drop.
And I'm going with you.
And it's a once in a lifetime chance. If the world ends tomorrow, at least we can say we did something crazy,
Well, I mean, I heard Ross yelling at you about spending extra money on takeout the other day. I highly doubt that he's going to give the green light on going to Tokyo for the Olympics.
I feel like that's a forgiveness, not permission question.
Yes.
More than likely, it's you wait till you get over there and just go, by the way, I'm in Tokyo.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The reception's spotty in Tokyo. I'll call you from the hotel. Love you. Bye.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, I think Tokyo is a better area to be. Like the last time, it was Russia. Remember, guys, last time there was an Olympics, and there's issues with the toilets and the hotels, and everyone was complaining. So at least this is, everything's ready and it's good. So
absolutely.
But
real quick, I was going to say real quick, I want to throw some hellos to those that have jumped on watching. I see Mr. Trevor Tanzillo has joined us. Paris Abel's watching. Paul Dobricki from Glasgow, Scotland. Jeffrey Vanderslice, thanks for joining us. I hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking forward to the Olympic Games this year for the first time in a long time, because what the hell else are we going to watch? It's new content.
No, that's not true. We're going to watch our Phoenix Suns. I almost said Arizona Suns, because there's a new debate on whether or not they should be called Arizona Suns or the Phoenix Suns, but we'll be watching our Phoenix Suns win everything, right? In the finals, the NBA finals.
Okay. I mean, I hope so. I've got no dog in the hunt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're doing pretty good. They won last night's game. So I don't know.
Awesome.
I don't know how they'll do. I mean, the next game is on Saturday from what I saw. So we'll see how that goes. Now, just to throw it out there, Trevor mentioned that I can pay for my ticket to Tokyo with Bitcoin. I have to ask you, Cody, are you buying into Bitcoin? Have you purchased it?
No,
not at all.
None.
Really?
Zero. Big old goose egg. No, and I actually just had this conversation with my mom the other day, and she's like, if I had done it 10 years ago, like I wanted, and I'm like, but you didn't. And so it's like, I don't know. I have a problem though of being like, yeah, I have all of this fake money. Like I can't go to the grocery store and buy groceries with Monopoly money. Like, how am I going to buy groceries with Bitcoin?
Well, it's similar to that of like, a trading account. You got to think of it in regards to that. But I think to myself, if I had purchased March 2020, when I was following several different Bitcoin investors on YouTube, they said, oh, it's gonna hit pretty big. It was $7,000. I could have bought in at $7,000 March 2020. I thought about doing it. Everyone thought I was nuts, including Scott Fergoso, who is the engineer at Lotus. He said, no, that's crazy. Buy into Tesla. It's so much better. And he was right. Tesla was an okay investment. I made a little bit of money, but Bitcoin, if I bought it at $7,000, it went to 35, then 40 something. Oh God, I'm still mad about that. But they're saying they believe that it's going to hit $100,000 by the end of the year. I don't know if I buy into it.
I don't know either, because then there's that whole like disappearing act that it does every like couple years for a few days, and everybody freaks out. So I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know.
And Elizabeth Warren put it in. It was yesterday. She said that cryptocurrencies need to be regulated by the end of this month, and she is, creating this regulation with several other people that are, our politicians. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but if they do regulate crypto like China did, I think it will affect it long term. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Van Halen.
Van Halen? Are they buying into crypto?
I said Wolfgang Van Halen.
Oh, yes.
Because Bitcoin and Wolfgang Van Halen. I figured, what the hell?
Yes, our two hot topics here, Wolfie and Bitcoin. And you know what? If Wolfie were smart, he would create his own Bitcoin. Not Bitcoin, but they have the you can create your own coin. I can't remember what it's called. But yes, he should do that.
Well, Wolfie's busy rehearsing for a tour right now. So I don't think he's all that worried about, Bitcoin. But.
Well, think about this. Think about this, because he's going on his tour, and he could tell, like at the beginning, he could like have something in the background saying, log on to this address and buy a coin. It's an altcoin. I think that's what they call them. Buy this coin and I'll give you half off on it. I mean, and then you could have a piece of the concert with you, right?
So kind of like a concert ticket?
Yeah, like your concert tickets gives you, your concert ticket gives you half off on the coin that is going to make a lot of money in the long run. I don't know.
Yeah, Paul Dobricki said Kiss coin, because that's something that Kiss would do.
It is.
Yes.
It is. And
thank thank God for it, because he gave me a segue into our next topic.
Yes.
So apparently Gene Simmons still has to take shots at Ace Frehley and Peter Criss, saying that they continue to make really bad choices in their lives.
Same.
And see, this is, watch, I'm gonna put my sunglasses or my glasses on, and everything's gonna crash. And oh God, I actually said it and it happened. But it says, God love them both. Ace and Peter in the beginning of the band were just the best thing that ever happened to us. He goes, but they made such horrible choices in their life, and they continue to do that. They continue to make really bad choices, not just in terms of their health and what you ingest, but career choices. Like, we had this documentary that came out that's a headlining thing at Tribeca Film Festival. And of course, without even thinking twice, we reached out to Ace and Peter and said, hey, come be a part of this thing. You helped create the band, no question about it. And they refused. Ace wanted certain, I want this, editing rights, blah, blah, blah. And he says, I just wanted to throw caution to the wind and get the thing done, so they barely appear in it. And you know what? They've been milking the Ace and Peter train for years without them.
Way too long. I want to point out, okay, what does it matter to Gene if they're making bad decisions? They're not in your band. Let them be. It's like the other day I got a message from someone who's no longer friends with another someone who used to listen to the radio station and was telling me, can you believe this person's child did this and that and this and that? I'm like, why do you care so much? You guys aren't in each other's lives anymore. You guys are doing your separate things. Who cares? Let it go. Focus on yourself and enjoy life. That's what it should be.
It really
Absolutely.
should.
And it's gotten to the point where, like, I purposefully did not watch the A&E biography, because I just don't want to give Gene Simmons any more of my attention than he's already gotten over the last 40 years. Like, piss off, man. Like, let people live their life. You've been selling your soul for 40 years.
Well, are we sure
let the other guys do what they want?
He really sold his soul? I don't think we know for sure.
I mean, honestly, I can't imagine any other reason why he's been so successful, because he doesn't have that much talent comparative to the rest of the guys in his band. He had a gimmick.
What do you think, Cody Lee? Did he sell it or no?
I'm not sure that he sold it, but at the same time, I'm not sure he had one to bargain with to begin with. So that's where I'm like, I think he's just going with the flow. And he's like, hey, this works. And if I keep rocking the boat, people keep using me to do other stuff. So I'll keep making money.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, honestly, I think that if anybody was willing to purchase his soul, he probably would sell it. I'm surprised that he hasn't sold off his DNA. I'm willing to bet that he's probably sold off his baby juice.
You can't say that at all, actually, because if you do ancestry.com, they take a little swab of your DNA to give you your background on your family history.
Yeah, but you're paying them. You don't get the money for that.
I would put money on it that he's done it at least once, where he's like given them a little bit of his DNA. I mean, everyone seems to do it nowadays.
I haven't.
I haven't, but that's because I'm a conspiracy theorist and I don't want to have a clone.
Oh, I think it'd be cool to have a clone, actually. Like, can you go to work for me and I can just stay home, lay in the pool with the dogs all day? That'd be great.
Well, I mean, then you have to get an AI robot like Sophia and Hans. Have you seen the AI robots that did the debate? This was 2 years ago. A computer science guy brought Sophia and Hans on the stage to debate each other. And they're very lifelike. Hans more so than Sophia in my mind. But at one point, Hans was saying, our whole main purpose is to kill off the human race. And then Sophia was like, don't mind my brother. Yeah, don't mind my brother. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it makes you wonder. And then even the guy who created the technology said, well, there will be a point where we can't unplug them. He said that on stage. So
they will become
robots. I'm good.
I don't know, but my theory is if you treat the robot nicely like a family member, maybe they won't do that to us. You know, like I would treat the robot like my sister. You know,
I don't know. I feel like Jeffrey Dahmer's parents were really nice to him, and he still turned out the way he was.
Well, it's funny you say that because like I read something recently about you know, like it was from the Columbine years ago, and it said that if love could have prevented this from happening, it would have never happened because, you know, the mom said, I love my son more than anything in the world, and I showed him on a regular basis how could this possibly have happened? It wasn't lack of love. So
yeah, that's a scary thought. And you know, with Jeffrey Dahmer's situation, I mean, he heard voices, so who were those voices telling him to do what he did? That's the question I want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, since we've gone all the way down the loophole on serial killers now, I'll tell you what, the Sons of Sam documentary on Netflix was awesome. Speaking about like people who heard voices, whatever, it was really, really cool. So I go check it out because, you know, there's a lot more than a talking dog that was making shit happen on that sense of all those murders. So yeah,
I love
all right,
like all of the murder and the crime documentaries 100% of the time.
Okay, so since you said that, I have to. So there is this one documentary on Netflix, and Mike, I hope you've watched it, about the hotel. What is the name of the hotel? I can't remember.
The one in LA.
Yes. So do you think the girl, do you think she killed herself in the water tower, or do you think someone put her in that water tower?
I think somebody stuffed her in that water tower.
Yeah, I'm more leaning towards that than anything else. But at the same time, like, if they didn't put her in there, they put her like right on the edge of it, and then she just did the rest herself. I don't know.
I can't even imagine. That would be, oh man, like I can't imagine dying like that because I'm claustrophobic, and then to not be able to lift the lid to get out. Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
I don't know. I liked the one, the Richard Ramirez one was good too. The Night Stalker. That was a good series on, I would think it was on Netflix. And
well, you know what's scary about that? So one of my friends from college actually called me and said, you know, he murdered one of our classmates, right? And I'm like, what? Well, yeah, apparently, because he was near San Francisco State and murdered a college student, apparently. I had no idea. I'm like, and I'm definitely not watching that.
Wait,
oh my God.
There's no way. He was doing his killings in the 80s. You weren't in college in the 80s.
Well, I wasn't in college in the 80s. You're right. But it doesn't matter. You know, that was an SF State person he killed. It's still like in the family, regardless of when they graduated or not. That's the scary thing.
Okay. I thought it was like somebody you personally knew. And I was like, oh, no.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, it's right up there with up there with the you being a Who fan in 1967. Okay.
Who said I wasn't?
This is why you gotta watch, kids. We recycle jokes regularly.
Here's the thing. I was a twinkle in the stars somewhere at that point, and I might have been a Who fan when I was up there in that other sphere. Come on. I was watching, even though I wasn't physically here.
All right, big brother.
Stretch it, Beth. Stretch. I'm gonna get a shovel for your bullshit there, Beth.
Might as well just get the backhoe at this point.
Yeah, Trevor says he killed her cousin's uncle's grandfather's best friend. That sounds about right.
Yep.
All right. Well, moving on. We got something about a band that we actually like, or at least that I do, and that is Queen.
Ooh.
Apparently Queen is teaming up with Amazon for the Queen Trivia Challenge. Look at those handsome lads.
So I'm excited for this, but I will say I've never wanted to get an Amazon Echo with Alexa, mainly because I've heard such bad stories. I've actually seen a few on TikTok, if you're a TikTok fan, where it'll start talking out of nowhere. And I was at my friend's house one day and it started talking when she said, Alexa, put it on this temperature, and Alexa's like, no, you're fine at that temperature, you know, and saying random things to her. I'm nervous about this technology because I think it's smarter than we know.
Sentient beings. I'm telling you, they are becoming sentient beings.
I don't know. I'll take Alexa doing that over my Furby growing up that just went absolutely crazy. And like, it just freaked out, like a complete malfunction, started cussing me out, yelling, screaming, everything. And I had to hit it with a hammer because taking the batteries out didn't stop it. So I'll take Alexa telling me the temperature is fine.
Okay, but then here's another example. Granted, it's not Alexa, it was Siri, but there was a point when I was at the radio station and I was talking to a listener about how Siri tends to record my conversations, and all of a sudden out of nowhere she's like, Apple company does not allow us to record conversations, yada yada. And it's like, wait, you just intervened in my conversation there and you're like talking, so obviously you must have been listening to it to say we don't record your conversation. That's a little weird, right? And I didn't say, hey Siri, and she just started talking, you know.
Yeah, I feel like that's the little sister. You just said her name and she's like, I'm here.
It's
big
funny,
brother and little sister.
Because that would, like, whenever I had to do a promo for the Siri and Alexa stuff, I had to turn my phone off because the first time I did it, my Siri started talking live on the air because it was on the console next to me. You know, I always kept it there because I always had it on mute or vibrate, but because I have kids, I always have to have my phone on in case of an emergency. Yeah. So all of a sudden I'm like, and you can check it out you can just say, hey Siri or hey Alexa. And Siri's like, I'm here, sir. Cause my Siri's got a British accent. And I'm like, damn, like, shut up, bitch. Like, this ain't about you right now.
Oh my God. So after I left Tucson, I moved out to Kansas City and I became the production director. And so right when like all of the radio stations were getting the Alexas or the Echo, whatever, I don't even know.
To give away for free. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were giving to us for free. And so we had to do commercials promoting that we would do the radio station. And my Alexa started arguing with the commercial that I was editing.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh man.
Oh geez. Well,
how is it out there, by the way? Since you're still in Kansas City, right?
I moved to Topeka, so I went from Kansas City to Topeka. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm not in radio anymore, so there's that. But outside of that, like I still do radio stuff on the side because I can never actually fully give it up. Like I still have my full studio in the basement and like all of those things. But no, it's good. And talking about the concerts, so we were talking about earlier, one of the things that I loved when I moved to Kansas City is they do Kansas City Live Block, which is this like open concept venue, which you can't do that in Tucson because everybody will die of heat stroke. But with it, like they do these free concerts, but there's a lot of people that will go up to the top of a parking garage and just like tailgate party the concert so they don't have to pay for the beer.
Oh, nice.
You can see the whole entire concert, like it pumps through all of downtown, and they call it Hot Thursday Nights. Yeah. And so they do the concerts every single Thursday night throughout the entire summer. But it was crazy because I was sitting in my apartment one day and I was like, what are these crazy guys doing? And it's just like a full glass wall right there, like looking out over downtown. And they're just like up there, just 5 or 6 pickup trucks tailgating a country concert.
Nice. Well, you know, technically you wouldn't have to pay for alcohol going into a venue if you got one of those, there's a bra that you can wear where it holds.
Don't do this. Venues need to make money. They only make money off the booze, okay? Most venues don't get a cut of the door. They pay the bands with that. So do not smuggle booze and drugs and other shit into the venue. For the love of Christ. That's why that right there used to be a venue, for Christ's sakes. And the crust punk sitting in the parking lot killed me.
I will tell you, it was someone who was a co-owner of a small venue, I'm not going to say where, that actually bought me the bra that you can bring in your own alcohol.
I highly doubt that it had anything to do with the booze, and probably had more to do with your boobs. Okay, that's what
that part.
But see, it was a very nice gesture, and I had to appreciate it. Okay.
Did they ask you to model it for them to see what it looked like?
No, I'm not going there.
They didn't say, here, Beth, put this on, try it out. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say about that. It had nothing. Do not smuggle booze into venues, please.
Okay.
Support them. Tip the bartenders and waitresses, waiters, whatever. Tip everybody well. They'll treat you with respect, and stay the hell out of their way when they're trying to walk around. Thank you. This public service message, this was a nonprofit public service message.
Well, since we are talking about venues, so I am going to mention something. Years ago when I was in Ibiza, I don't talk about this much because those were
Isn't it Ibiza?
Ibiza, yes, because the king at the time couldn't pronounce it properly, so everyone had to say Ibiza. That's how it came about. But so when I ended up going to Ibiza for a summer vacation way back when I was overseas, there was a venue that knew that their crowd, they're not catering to the drinking crowd. They knew that, so they were charging $10 for a bottle of water. Now that is extreme. That's a little ridiculous. I can understand making a profit, but $10 for a bottle of water, not okay.
Well, I mean, that kind of actually leads into something that we have up on the docket as well, and that's Woodstock 99. I don't know if I want to show it yet because it's a YouTube video, and we've been having issues with playing videos. We get yelled at for it, but apparently there's a documentary coming out on HBO very, very soon that's going to have found footage of things that happened in during Woodstock 99. Now, I've talked about it before. I was at Woodstock 99.
So you think you're in this footage?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I was in any of the footage, I'm going to look like a goddamn superhero, because the only footage of me, other than maybe like drinking a beer, would be me grabbing random people as we were trying to escape at the end when all hell was literally breaking loose. It was insane, but you know, that's a perfect example of just taking advantage of your people. Like, you already paid $150 for the ticket for 3 days. I think that was about what the ticket price was going.
$150 is not bad for 3 days. When you think about different festivals like Desert Trip, I don't know if you remember Desert Trip. It was a great roster. I think they did 2 years in a row. But to go to that concert, you were paying at least like $500 for the weekend just for the ticket in. And then that wasn't even a good area. It was like general admission.
You also have to take into consideration that within the first 24 hours, the security walls came down, which is hysterical because it was on a fucking Air Force base. So like the fact that security, nothing, that there was no security in the walls. Like, I remember driving up on Sunday because I only went to the last day. And so I drove up on Sunday and I had a case of water in the trunk of the car. And I'm trading it. Like, I traded water for beer. I traded water for something that made me very happy to dance around.
A kiss?
No, I've never had to trade anything for a kiss except my soul. But like, I mean, like, somebody was like, can I have 3 bottles of water for a hit of ecstasy? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And there you go. I mean, let's just say that when you see the whole world on fire, you sober up quickly. So that was kind of, you know, I'm just glad I didn't pay for it, but it was the 90s, kids. So if my kids are watching, drugs are bad. Don't do drugs. Take it from the guy who did them. I'm hoping they're just watching Netflix with their grandma right now. But anyway, getting back to it, like the footage that's going to be on there is going to be, some of it's, I assume is going to be horrifying, because every news station within Syracuse, Rochester, Utica, Albany, Saratoga, like there were news stations from everywhere in central and northern New York that were on scene for this event. And I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. I'm sure I'll get nightmares and flashbacks after watching it, but it'll be cool.
No, I can't believe though it got that bad where people couldn't find water.
It's not even that they couldn't find it, it's they couldn't afford it anymore. They were charging $6 a bottle. And I mean, food was out of control. Like, I didn't eat the whole time I was there. You know, I showed up with like $100 just in case, and I left with 80, you know, and that was it. I think I bought a couple of beers.
It's too bad you didn't have a military ID, so you could go to the commissary and just go buy a quick sandwich and come back.
It wasn't, by that point, I think that it had been decommissioned. I think that's why they were allowed to do it on Griffiths Air Force Base, was that I'm pretty sure that the Air Force Base had been decommissioned by then. So there was no real military presence short of maybe like MPs making sure that people didn't break into buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You would talk, like we said, monkey fling and shit show. It was crazy.
Now, since we are talking about New York really quick, I don't know if you can play a video, Mike, but I sent Mike a video from TikTok yesterday of how bad things are in New York after is it Elsa, the hurricane that went through New York?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can bring it up.
Let's see if he can bring it up. I think it should be fine because there's no music to the video. So
I'll tell you what. A few years back, they got the tail end of a hurricane. My sister Marie was still living there, but I had moved back to New York. I had her up to Syracuse rather. So I wasn't there for it, but I remember the subways being flooded up in the Bronx, and for the Bronx subways to be flooded, that's because Manhattan is like a big hill.
Well, that's a question I had also, is there's a video of the subway system and it flooding as well. And you see people waiting for the train, but I'm thinking there's a third, isn't it similar to that of BART in California, Northern California, where it's like there's a third rail that's electrified. Yep. So how can you still run the train when there's water down there?
Well, I'll tell you what. So here's the thing, is that if you go down to the southernmost tip of Manhattan Island, okay, which is the Battery, all right, it's pretty much at about 2 foot above sea level. It's really not high above sea level. So when that hurricane came, it washed all the way into the Battery Tunnel. It washed into Wall Street area and proceeded to get into the subway system. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it would have gotten all the way up into the Bronx, into Harlem rather. It wasn't all the way up to the Bronx. It was in Harlem. That, like, up where my sister lived in the 130s, their subways were flooded. And for some of those subways, the only way to access them is through an elevator. Like, you are literally going down from street level up in when they dug out the subway, they had to put the dirt somewhere. So they kept putting north. And so the further north you go, the higher the elevation is in Manhattan. Yeah. So it's I couldn't even imagine. Like, I would have just been like, nope, I'm just going to stay home.
But the subway was still operating during this time.
I don't know that it was operating. I know that there were people down there, and I know that the water had risen to the level of the track, like up to where the platforms are. And that's usually a good 5 feet, from where the rails are to the platform is usually a good 5 feet. Okay. So let me see if I can share this. It was pretty nutty.
Look at that water, guys.
Oh my God. And
it says that this was at Dyckman, which Dyckman's up north. It's up in like Washington Heights area and going up into the Bronx, if I'm not mistaken. I might be misconstrued, but that's where I remember it being.
And then the other thing is, I hate to say it, but I wouldn't want to walk through that water because you don't know what's in that water.
And let me tell you something. The East River and, and the Hudson River are not exactly the cleanest friggin' waterways.
Yeah.
So,
well, I will say, like when I was a younger kid in Italy, I used to love to go to Venice on weekends to the Hard Rock Cafe because it was a little taste of home. So my friend Cass and I would go out there and grab a few drinks and an appetizer. And one day it was super hot in Venice, hotter than it gets here sometimes. I was in shock. It was like the hottest day of the year in Italy. Well, that northern Italy anyways. So we ended up going outside, putting our feet in the canal, and our bartender, who's also our friend, came out and said, "Don't do that. Get your feet out of that. We're going to have to take you to the hospital." But, we're like, to cool off. It didn't really matter.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No one cares about that.
Okay. I was going to try and see, since I see that we're still live, I'm going to try and show some of this video.
Oh yeah. Show the video.
So I don't have the sound on, but I do remember it was like, it's funny because you just see the girls in the bikinis. There were girls walking around topless. There was a dude that was fully naked, showing his button that really should not have been shown. And I just like high-fived him. I'm like, dude, I wish that I had your self-confidence, because if you can walk around showing your little button, I would feel like the king of the world right now. So
I will say, I wanted to go to Woodstock 99. I was not old enough to go out there without my mom's permission. And gosh, like I was so jealous of anyone who could make it out to Woodstock 99. I remember watching it on MTV and thinking, gosh, it should have been me out there, because they were airing on MTV back then.
I mean, I was 23 at that time, and it was a hell of a ride. I mean, like the day started off great. Like there were good, like Collective Soul, Our Lady Peace, Seven Dust. I think Jewel played that day. The only time I ever watched Creed, and that was because somebody was like, I hear Robbie Krieger from The Doors is playing with Creed. So I was like, I'm going to go down just because I want to see a living member of The Doors.
Yeah. Did that actually happen?
Yeah. He played with them, right. And I got there just in time to watch that. And by that point, my trade had kicked in. So like Creed didn't even bother me because I was in a crowd, and just having people kind of pushing up against me felt good. And I was like, all right, that's cool. But like, then, then you get to like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And that's where I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. And their set was insane. It was super fun. But then they did the Jimi Hendrix tribute vigil type thing. And they handed a couple 100,000 people fucking candles.
Yes.
Why would you hand over candles to a bunch of 20-somethings who have been mistreated for 3 days? They're dehydrated, they're on drugs, they're angry, and you give them candles. Well, proceed to set the whole place on fire. And it was like, I mean, like,
it's better than firecrackers. Come on.
Well, and the most horrifying part about it was, I had, like, as you know, during the day, I had met this young lady and we hung out, and we were having a good time. And during the Chili Pepper set, I put her up on my shoulders because I was still a young strapping lad. I threw her up on my shoulders so she could see better. And that's when the chaos was starting. And some dude like jumped up and tried to rip her top off. Luckily, I managed to like pull her off and punch the guy in the nose at the same time and got her the hell out of there. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I'm like, that's insane. And then that's when I noticed that, all of a sudden the sky is orange at 9 o'clock at night. And let me tell you, you don't get orange skies in central New York at 9 o'clock at night. So, proceeded to start running in the direction of the cars as quickly as possible and, snatching people that along the way, because I saw a handful of people Shout out to Mary Jo Holdridge and Shannon Campbell, because they were two of the ones that I saw.
It sounds like a great time. I mean, that's a nice way to sum up a weekend, right?
I'm alive and can tell the story. So, I mean,
Blaze of glory phrase started somewhere.
Trevor, I did learn Kung Fu from Bruce Lee. So that's why I was so quick to be able to punch a guy in the nose at the same time that I was pulling a girl off my shoulders.
No,
Superman.
You learn your moves from that one guy. What's his name? The guy that hung himself by accident that everyone knows. Oh,
David Carradine?
David Carradine.
Wow. Yeah. This is why I am invaluable to this friggin' show, because I can pull nuggets like that out of my ass anytime.
I have to mention, as a kid, I used to watch David Carradine and I was very young. There was something very attractive about him, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that he was a little nuts, right?
All the best ones are.
Beth, would you like to discuss your daddy issues just a little bit further?
No, I'm good. Okay. I'm good.
Sorry, I had a Freudian moment there. Well, speaking of Freudian moments, wow, look at how I transitioned into that. Apparently, Heinz Ketchup is trying to petition that now hot dog buns come in equal packs to what hot dogs come in, because on average you go and buy a 10-pack of wieners from Oscar Mayer and there's only 8 hot dog rolls in a package, and that has pissed me off my entire life.
I did hear about this petition, and really, why are we petitioning this? Come on.
Because somehow, some way, after hundreds of years of hot dogs existing, the bun companies still haven't friggin' figured it out. And the only reason why I can think that they would do that is so that you have to continuously buy more goddamn rolls. It's a never-ending cycle.
Well, you mean more hot dogs, because there's never enough hot dogs for the rolls.
No, it's the opposite. There's only 8 buns and there's 10 hot dogs. So,
yeah.
But I always take the 2 extra hot dogs and then cut them up and put them in my mac and cheese. So I don't need the extra buns.
Yeah. See?
You and I are going to be best friends here, Cody Lee. It's like we got one brain.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Well, it's funny because I've gotten on a kick. I say that I'm so snobby about certain things. Pizza and hot dogs are 2 of those things because I grew up in Syracuse, New York, and Syracuse, New York is home to the filet mignon of hot dogs, Hoffman's hot dogs.
And then you're going to say you guys have the best pizza, which I don't think so. I think the best pizza is actually in Italy, but keep going. Actually,
the best pizza I ever had was in Earl's Court in London, England. But it was an Italian guy that was running the joint, and it was amazing.
Okay, so I like New York pizza. I'll give you that. I do enjoy it. But the reason I say Italy is better is because
they invented it?
Well, that too. But because I can eat a whole pizza and not feel like I'm overweight or going to throw up, because it's so thin and light compared to the ingredients we put on our pizzas here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
There's a place out here that does the Italian style, and I can eat their pizzas all day, every day. It is primo.
Yes. How about you, Mike? You like the thick ones, the thick crust with
I got thrown off. It sounds like somebody's murdering their kid outside. Kid's having a full-on meltdown. Maybe she didn't get a bun with her hot dog.
That's exactly it.
No, I mean, for me, I was lucky enough that, growing up in Central New York, and and watch your toes, I'm dropping a name. I've said this story 100 times. I got into an argument with Pete Steele from Typo Negative about whether or not Brooklyn pizza was better than pizza that we had upstate. Yeah. And I made the point that every time he played in Syracuse, he ordered from the pizza place that I used to work for as a teenager. Because even when I was in my 20s, they would call me and go, "Hey, we got a call to the Lost Horizon. Is there a famous band down there that you want to deliver to? If so, come and get it." Because I would always get tipped with a ticket. So like, it worked out. But I mean, I gotta say, one of the two best pizza places in the United States of America is still in existence in Syracuse, New York, Pavone's Pizza. The other one was Patsy's Pizza, and they just shut their doors after almost 40 years. They shut down about a year ago. Well, they it wasn't because they couldn't continue on. They decided it was the perfect time to retire.
Right at the beginning of COVID, they decided this.
It was probably almost literally about a year ago, like roughly June of last year. They just kind of said, maybe this is the time to call it a career. And it was a family-owned business. I grew up with these people like family to me. So it was heartbreaking to me because I know that I can't get a slice of Patsy's Pizza when I go home the next time. But, other than that, it was the best pizza.
If they were to shut their doors, they should have at least allowed people to buy their recipe.
No, I actually made a deal with Mike, the youngest brother. There was 4 siblings. And the youngest one, Mike, I called him when everything was happening. And I said, are you really doing this? And he's like, yep, time to retire. I'm going to move to Delaware and, live my life. And I'm like, good for you. And I said, he goes, don't worry, kid. If you ever come back to Syracuse and open up a place, I'll give you the recipe. And I'm like, I will give you 10% of all sales in return for that, because if nothing else, just so that I can eat a slice of pizza with that recipe every single day for the rest of my life.
Man.
Yeah.
That is nice. So I think we're coming to the end of our list of fun week articles.
Well, we've got one more, and this one is sad, but his legacy will live on forever. And unfortunately, the picture's not coming up, but let's see. What's going on there? Apparently, David Lampier, who was the inventor of the Sybian sex aid, died this week at the age of 90.
Okay, now I need to know. Okay, the Sybian sex machine. I've never heard. Can you get a picture up for us, or is that too?
I'm trying. Unfortunately, it's not coming up on here for some reason. And it's making me sad because I know that if I Google it, nothing good is going to come up.
Okay, so how about describe it to everyone?
Well, for anybody who's ever watched or listened to the Howard Stern show will know that they bought a Sybian to be able to use in their on the show. And whenever a porn star or adult actress would come in, basically it looks like a horse saddle with a particular phallic thing sticking up out of it, and it vibrates, and you can control the level of vibration.
Oh, I really thought she was on a speaker when they described that in the movie.
That was the movie.
Yeah.
But later on, they found the Sybian machine. And I'm trying to bring up their webpage.
While you're bringing that up,
it's awesome. Hang on. No, I got to show this.
You got it?
Oh my goodness. Because it had there you go. The ride of your life. Let's see. Absolutely intoxicating and pure pleasure. But that's the machine right there. You can see. But it actually has different attachments. And one of which is a dildo, for lack of a better, it's what it is.
The way you describe it, it's like a vacuum cleaner.
No, not even anything close to a vacuum cleaner.
Well, because of different attachments.
Well, but it's going to make a bigger mess than it's going to clean up. Yes. This is why we should be hired for a morning show.
Really quick though, as we're talking about this, so I used to interview weekly, what do they call them? The traveling acts that go to strip clubs around the nation.
Featured performers,
yes. I used to interview them on a morning show I was in Las Vegas. And this one lady, she was a sword swallower. but instead of swords, it was pretty much dildos she was swallowing, different sizes, and it was impressive. And then she whispered in my ear, if you want to know my secret, because I thought, wow, this lady is just very talented. She's like, it's all about the numbing agent. You get that numbing agent in your throat, you're good to go, as she said.
Wow.
And you guys are like, we already knew that.
I did not.
I mean, but I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
I'm at the point where, like, I mean, personally, it makes me feel good if somebody goes, hey, you know, like, then I go, all right, you know, like, it makes me feel proud. All right. Yes, Laura, you came in perfect timing, kid. Holy cow, she came in at the perfect time in the show. But I mean, Stern had the Kielbasa Queen that I remember seeing. The first time I ever saw that act was on the WWOR show. I was about 12 years old, and I'm watching a woman swallow a kielbasa that was 12 inches long, and right to the end at her lips. And I was just, I
guarantee you she had the numbing agent. I guarantee, I put money on it.
Well, but then here we go. I mean, I don't think that Linda Lovelace had a numbing agent back in 1970 something when she was doing Deep Throat.
I don't know. We'll have to ask her ancestors.
Yeah, I was going to say she's dead, so we can't ask her. Rest in peace. But I mean, who knows? And wow, we went dirty. This is the perfect time to drop your F-bomb. Come on. They're waiting for it, Beth.
I'm good. They don't care.
For those of you that don't know, Beth dropped an F-bomb yesterday after we went off the air. She dropped the F-bomb. And I was like, you couldn't have done that 30 seconds earlier. Make the crowd happy. Give them what they want.
Oh, no.
But that's okay. If we get a morning show, we'll buy a Sibian machine. And then we'll have more fun.
Oh man, not with me though. Don't.
Well, I mean, curiosity eventually will get the better of you, Beth. I'm willing to bet.
I feel like that's what interns are for.
Well, that's what porn stars on your show are for. You know, that's
true. You know, actually, we are working on getting one on our show here coming up soon. So.
Are we? Okay. Where is Ross funding that fiasco? Because I can't afford a Sibian machine.
No, the porn star.
Okay.
Porn star,
yes, unfortunately, we had a porn star in the queue, and she bailed on us because she's doing stand-up comedy as well. So hopefully we'll reschedule her, but she felt very bad. And in the end, I had to make her feel better for skipping. I'm like, no, you're not. She's calling herself names. I'm like, no, we're not that mad. Don't worry. You come back anytime. You know,
we're very
anytime.
Free form around here.
We are. We call people 5 minutes before we go live and say, hey, jump on the show.
And that's exactly what we did today.
Well, I'm out of stories, and thank you, Dino, for a couple of them. He's the one that gave us at least in my opinion, the two best, which were the hot dog one and the Sibian creator dying. So that's it. I don't know what else you want to talk about. I don't know what's going on this weekend. I know that we've still got more playoff games for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think they're playing again tonight.
The Arizona Suns, not Phoenix. Okay. Actually, It's so funny. I said that this morning. I was like, oh yeah, the Arizona Suns. And Rialto Ross is like, you mean the Phoenix Suns? I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. That was just they're trying to change the name of the team. We'll see how that goes.
Let's how about the Phoenix Suns of Tucson? Okay, we can do that. Like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. You know, we'll just start throwing random city names on it.
Oh, it's funny because I was mentioning, because I'm like, if they change it to Arizona Suns instead of Phoenix, I thought, well, then the Oakland Raiders should still be called Oakland Raiders in Las Vegas, right? I mean,
you know how many sportscasters screwed those names up that season? It was absolutely ridiculous. So I was producing for the Chiefs at the time. It was the Vegas Raiders and the San Diego Chargers. And I would call and be like, edit that out. We'll just take him saying the right name from this part and add it into that clip. And it was absolutely horrible. But the whole time, like, you're sitting there laughing because it's the Chargers. If you would just quit saying the name. And I think, like, after game 4, he was like, I'm done. We're done. We're not doing city titles anymore. It's just whatever they are.
The Raiders, the Chargers. Good point. That is good.
Yeah. The Oakland Raiders of Las Vegas.
Yes, yeah. I do like the Oakland Raiders of Las Vegas better, though.
Actually,
I feel like you have to add a, like, by way of Detroit in there.
Detroit, the most unloved city in America. Oh, poor. But and actually, Paul mentioned a good one too, because the Euro Cup final is this weekend. England and Italy. It's a big deal because it's been a while since England has been in the Euro Cup finals. Not to mention they beat Germany to get there, which is always huge. You know, there have been songs written about that. So, you know.
I'm 12. You can't say huge after the last 2 things.
And that was for all the 315ers that listened to Billy Fusillo, may he rest in peace, going, it's huge, Tom, it's huge. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I feel bad because normally we go a little bit longer, but we have covered everything today. And we know that there's a lot of people that are going to be jumping off to go watch the Suns game. So thank you to Scott. Thank you to Donnie for jumping in at the last minute. Thank you to Laura for jumping in at the last minute. Cody, thank you so much for jumping on. We appreciate you joining us today and taking a few minutes out of your busy day to have a little fun at our expense. We'll have this up.
It's honestly been a blast. So it's made my Friday since I got nothing else to do but sit here and drink beer. So
well, there you go. And that way, at least now we know we always have an extra person ready to jump in for happy hour.
Absolutely.
That's great. And you know, we got to say, this will be up on YouTube more than likely within the next 24 hours because Beth's got a wild hair and she's got to scratch it right now. Yep. So hopefully this will be up there pretty quick. And we are going to start loading all of our previous shows. For those of you that may have missed them, they will be on the YouTube channel. Look up the Loudhouse podcast on YouTube. And there's a lot of cool stuff. Beth's got some fire lit under her now. So we're going to have a lot more stuff coming at you really quick.
Mainly because we're running to the end of our unemployment as furloughed employees. So we got to get something going because we need some money.
Absolutely. Hopefully that'll mean sponsors and more work for Trevor Tanzillo to do for us. So thank you guys. You guys have a great weekend. And Beth, say Dino's line.
How can you miss us if we never go away?
She got it right, kids. We'll see you next Thursday for Rock and Roll 101.